Hey everyone, Xenocat here, playing some more Kerbal Space Program. Let's go to Duna. Hey folks, Jeb and I were talking about what the next project would be for our adventures into the great unknown, and after a few drinks and a barroom brawl, we decided it's time to finally go to Duna. All previous attempts to successfully leave the safety of the Kerbin orbit have met with failure, and the loss of life of countless Kerbin souls who attempted it before. But Jeb doesn't care. He's committed to the cause and ready to blast off and plant the Kerbin flag on another planet. Interestingly enough, however, since we started doing this series, Jeb and I have had great success accomplishing the previously impossible. It seems like we've one-shot our way through the moon and Minmus landings, and that luck seems to have carried over to Duna. The rocket is simple but powerful and fortunately carried just enough fuel to get the job done. It did have some quirks that you'll see in a bit, but for the most part I'd say the Kerbal engineers exceeded expectations. The rocket that would take us to Duna was big, make no mistake about it. The Kerbal engineers initially told us that it couldn't be done, and Jeb wasn't having any of that talk. He explained the error of their thinking with a subtle application of his fists, and I think he's still wearing one of the engineers like a slipper. Anyway, the shrouding that protects the ship was designed and built, and the task of figuring out how to launch this monster into orbit was started. In the end, we went with the largest booster stage that Kerbin has ever produced. 6 custom-designed detachable boosters with 4 thruster engines each, and a central primary stage that would propel the ship into interplanetary space. There was some serious concerns that the standard launch pad configuration wouldn't be able to support the rocket, so they opted for a few more support struts just to be safe. As you can expect, the cost of building this machine was staggering. A failure of this mission would surely set the space program back years or even decades. Failure would mean the loss of public support and the loss of additional funding. Success is the only course of action, and Jeb knew what was at stake. Leading up to the launch, Jeb reviewed countless hours of rocket construction footage, looking for any weak points or signs that we might suffer catastrophic failure. He suggested a few more struts to help hold the booster stages together, and a few adjustments to the fuel oxidizer ratios to ensure the most thrust per weight we could get. And before we knew it, the ship was complete. News people from all over Kerbin showed up to watch the launch of Kerbin reaching out of their small planet and reaching out into the vastness of space to step foot on another planet. Secretly, Jeb was curious if the planet was even there. After a successful liftoff, booster stage and main engine separation, Jeb wanted to give the ship a quick inspection before the crew set their sights on Duna. And even though Kerbal ground control said all systems are go, Jeb felt a bit of a shimmy in the controls and suspected something might be amiss. Donning his spacesuit and going for an excursion, Jeb carefully inspected the ship. The only thing that he saw was visibly broken was a solar panel. Something must have broken loose during liftoff and hit the panel. No matter though, that wouldn't stop this historic journey. Satisfied that they were able to safely continue, Jeb boarded the ship and lit the engines that would take them into the history books. Final clearance was given to attempt the touchdown on Duna, and the transfer rocket was ditched. The landing engines were lit for the retro burn needed to slow down and begin the final descent into Duna's thin atmosphere. The people of Kerbin collectively held their breath in anticipation. After having achieved a near-perfect touchdown, the crew took in the sights and eventually planted the mark of Kerbal kind on Duna's surface. Mission Control was wondering why they suddenly lost the ship's transponder, but Jeb assured them it was just a technical glitch. Never before had such an endeavor been accomplished. The future was now, and the Kerbin people were united in their hearts and minds. The Kerbal space program was funded for future missions that would push the limits of Kerbal engineering. But that, my friends, is a story for another time. Thanks everyone for joining me today. If you liked what you saw, press that like button, hit subscribe for content updates, and please leave a comment below. We'd love to hear what you like, don't like, or want to see in future videos.